In California, we have two biggest ports in the
The
US,
LA and
LA and Long
Long
Beach,
Beach.
right? And 80% of those cranes we bought from China because China's crane is about 3/4 of the price that compared to other countries like made in Japan or European countries. But we heard that they always ask that those cranes to be in remote area or inside because they put chips on it and they're controlling that they're collecting actually all these data. It's a national security
From the
issue.
cranes that
From
are-
the cranes, that what's coming in, what kind of things going out, because they are taking all these like containers.
Wow.
Exactly. So that was really big. So I introduced a couple of bills that Save Our Port Act, that none of that adversaries that they can come in and they can control our operations. And then I think administration is going to decide to change all those cranes made in other countries because we really cannot be spied.
So they have chips on the cranes that tracks the data, and can it control the crane too?
So when they try to cause chaos in all of our ports, yes, they can do it. They are really watching. And then it's not just like private shipping companies coming in, those ships that are coming in. We're talking about our naval ships going in and out too. So it's not just crane. Our actually allies are using their maritime tracking system called lodgings. I found out in 2021 actually about that. And South Korea, Japan, Portugal, Spain, because it was a free maritime tracking system that China was giving out, right? And then they are controlling, and they can actually collect all the data from all these ships coming in and out, what's on it, what time they're coming in, what time they're leaving. And then plus our naval ships are going to South Korea, what day, what time they're getting, what time they are leaving. They are collecting all these data from that lodgings. So introduce a bill that Transportation Secretary has to really report to us exactly that what's going on with our system. We are not using their maritime tracking system, but our allies are using it. So you really watch it very closely, but you really have to advise other countries that stop using Chinese maritime tracking systems. We are having the biggest ports in LA and Long Beach. That's the most dangerous area. And then we have San Diego, we have naval station there that you don't even know what they're collecting. So that's very, very dangerous. But everything has to start from California that we really have to stop.
What about universities? You mentioned that they have influence here in universities.
Universities was the worst one because we have a prominent universities in California called UC Berkeley. It's one of the prominent one, and they received $220 million from China. Right now, that before my Deterrent Act passed, that when you receive any money from foreign governments over $250,000, you have to report to a Department of Education. They never done that. And they were bringing their researchers and doing research together. And they brought government officials from CCP, and then they showed around. This is the most dangerous things because, this is from our students, our brain, and then they just invested the money for what? Try to steal everything from our universities. So we asked UC Berkeley why you didn't report. They said, well, we didn't quite build yet, so we were waiting. So my Deterrent Act, actually now that it passed in Congress, and that shows that anything you receive over not $250,000 but over $50,000, you have to report. And then second thing is when you even have coffee with those countries of concern, we're talking about China, Russia, North Korea, Iran, and any of these countries, then you have to report. So we changed the law, but it was not signed by President Biden.
So is that going to come back?
It should come back. I'm no longer there. I hope that Deterrent Act passed really by almost 400 votes. I hope somebody's going to introduce exactly same bill that go through Senate and then President
So it
Trump.
was
I know President Trump is
a
going to
bipartisan effort to
Yeah.
get. Can you tell us about this? Like, so 220 million they want to give to Berkeley. What would they get from that?
They can steal our research materials, and something that really the study was done in the United States. That's one of the example that they try to get into universities and then try to steal whatever it's been built. But it's not just that you can control administration, because when you give so much money that suddenly you are so powerful to these universities. But we saw so many universities, instead of the money is going down to the classrooms, but administration's getting bigger and bigger. So we were working on with Dr. Fox, who was chair, now she's a rules committee chair, that we've been working on it, that we're going to reduce administration size and it's going to go down to the university students so we can study it together. But China, they try to do whatever they can, and education is the most important part. We don't want to brainwash our kids. And we don't want somebody to come in and steal our kids' study and research. Our kids have to be learned how to think and what's right and what's wrong, and they are actually interfering that.
When you guys talked to the university, what were they thinking about this
Actually,
amount of money?
it is really interesting because one of the chancellor, I asked the question. Next day, she said she's going to come back with the answer, and next day she resigned.
Wow.
They are getting, it's not just China, but Qatar and other countries that they've been actually influencing all of our universities. So instead of we are teaching our kids that how to think and how to be independent, some of the universities, they're brainwashing our kids and they're getting money so much. Berkeley is one of the prominent public schools in California. When you receive that much money from China, you're supposed to report. And the report was not done.